101.7 WTBR FM. Pittsfield.
Welcome to Ham on WTBR, the all-inclusive ham radio show for hams and non-hams alike. Be part of the show. Contact us on www.facebook.com/HamJamTV. And now the hosts of the show, Peter and Jessica. Ham on.
And good morning.
Good morning, everybody. How are we today?
It's Wednesday again here on WTBR FM
yes.
Pittsfield. You're listening to Ham on.
It's that time again. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Same bad time, same bad channel. Big show. Big show coming in today.
And
we
then,
have a
yes,
lot
it's
of
another
stuff to
really...
get, a lot of stuff to get done today. A lot of stuff to get done.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
1 week. One week till Christmas.
Christmas.
Yes, we will be here. We will be here with a nice little Christmas show here. So let's go to your news. We won't even do the thingy today. We'll just go
to my news.
Go right to the news, and then I
don't even have my thingy today.
I could put your thingy up.
But now that sounds suggestive. What the heck?
Wait a minute. Well, it might be, but here we can do this for you.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
There you go.
Yay, news time. Calling all amateur radio operators, ESA is challenging everybody and anyone with amateur radio equipment to catch the first signals of OPS sat. Yay, new stuff. ESA's brand new space software laboratory. So there you go, guys. New software. On the 17th of December, OPSat will be launching into low Earth orbit on a Soyuz rocket from I hope I don't butcher this. Koyo French Guinea, I guess. Lord help me now. Together with ESOP's exoplanet tracker. Once launched, the satellite will deploy its solar panels and ultra high frequency antenna. Holy crap, that has to be one heck of an antenna on that thing. And then start to send signals back home. You want to be, could you be the first on Earth to catch them? ESA's mission control in Darmstadt, I guessing is that word, are asking for your help to find the fledgling CubeSat. Let me see. Anyone can apply to be an experimenter. Yes, they're looking for experimenters. You can apply at dave.ebbs@esa.int. Liftoff is scheduled. Well, apparently it happened. Liftoff was scheduled. Let me rephrase that. At 8:54 UTC. What would that be?
8:54 UTC is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So it took off at 3 in the afternoon.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
I still have a lot of problems converting UTC time, so...
You'd figure you'd know how to convert it better. I have no idea what UTC
Go, it's sometime in the afternoon. I think it's like 8 hours ahead or something.
Deployment began at 1:50.044 seconds later. So T plus that many seconds. Expected to be at 13:05 UTC. It began transmitting 15 minutes after the deployment, so 15 minutes after
it launched.
Yeah. And after ultra high frequency antenna and solar array deployment had been confirmed, so after the confirmation, they began that it was up and running. They began transmitting. Sweet. To track OpusSat, they have a software which is at github.com/ESA/GR, that little spacey
backslash.
No, the
space.
little middle.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, the little dash in the middle. OpusSat. /.
Okay. Cool.
So that's what that is. Yeah, you can decode it and you can log it in their software that you heard it and everything, and it sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, something else for the amateurs to play with. Okay, the trivia question, actually getting it off on time today. Which famous radio operator was also the voice-over narrator of the old Untouchables TV series? Here's a hint. While ham radio was his avocation, another type of radio was what made him famous. So we'll give that to you at the end, in case if anybody knows that.
Sweet.
So, you know, I don't do nothing normal on this show.
Oh, of course.
Today is no exception. I found, we're going to do a few Christmas songs on the Christmas Day show, but I found a song that is not a normal Christmas song like Frosty and Rudolph but as of late it's kind of a nice Christmas song.
And Grandma got run over
by a reindeer and Happy Christmas and all that stuff.
Yes.
We're gonna do this song, and we're not going to tell you what it is until the end. So here's a little Christmas song for you.
Oh, cool.
Dun, dun, dun. On WTBR FM, you're listening to Ham On.
And now, the Christmas can.
Christmas time is here, and Christmas songs you love to hear. Thoughts of joy and hope and cheer, but mostly shopping.
Christmas time is here. The sleigh bells and the red-nosed deer. Songs and songs we love to hear, all played 1,000 times each year. Heard this same song 20 times, and it's only holiday. Joy to the world.
Christmas time is here, and Christmas songs you love to hear. Thoughts of joy and hope and cheer, but mostly shopping.
Christmas season starting sooner every year. It's October, stores with plastic Christmas trees. Ransack the mall, shop until you lose your mind. Spike the eggnog, sit back and watch Rudolph, Frosty, Tiny Tim, and Steers the Grinch, or Charlie Brown. It's time. It's time to do the Christmas cake and
Not going to do the kick line.
all you need is a tree, some lights, about 1,000 presents, wrap them up and pray for snow. Run to your closet, find your Christmas sweater, screaming carols all the way. La 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 la, made all the way to California. It's the Christmas cake and Halloween to Christmas Day. It's the most wonderful time of year. We're running mad with Christmas cheer. Hey, what's troubling you, my friend?
It's not fair if you're Jewish.
Not fair if you're Jewish. Dreidel, I made it out of play.
You realize that Christmas ain't the only holiday.
Boy.
Hey, he's right, who made these laws? Look, wait, here comes Santa Claus. Santa Claus. Santa, 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 Santa. Hey, Santa, do the can, help him if you can, join in the parade.
I'm gonna go buy some Chinese food.
All you need is a tree, some lights, about 1,000 presents, wrap them up and break for snow. Run into your closet, find your Christmas sweater, screaming carols all the way. France, all the way to Indiana, it's the Christmas can that's the intent.
We for our Andy, we should share this holiday.
A happy Hanukkah to you.
A happy Hanukkah to you. A Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, and also Kwanzaa. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Merry Kwanzaa too.
The Christmas can.
Yes, by Straight No Chaser. One of my favorites and my sister's favorites.
Like I
as
said,
well.
we do nothing normal on this show.
Oh, of course
the Christmas
not.
can. Okay, I want to do this because this was sent to me this morning by James N1PZP, who's in Florida. But if anybody wants to send anything that we think we can use on the air, that's appropriate to use on the air, www.facebook.com.
Yes, make sure it's appropriate. No cursing, nothing like that.
/HamJamTV. So this is called
/HamJam TV. Do not go ahead and send anything with curse words. That is not appropriate. Please don't.
Right, this is called I Now Pronounce You Ham and Radio. You may now kiss the mic. Hi. We understand the reception was excellent and the information from the honeymoon was provided from a trusted group of official observers. Hi. After turning down the lights and putting on some soft JT65 music, Ham and Radio assumed positions of horizontal and vertical polarization as they too intimately knew each other. But they had to be careful not to put the wedding gifts of Morse code keyers where they'd sleep, otherwise they'd become infested with bed bugs. And that would be a real pain in the brass. Yes, I have too much time on my hands. Thank you, James, for that. that was something. So we're going to go to our commercial break, and we will be back with more goodies.
Oh, yes.
Because you never know just what's going to happen here.
Yes. You're listening to Ham On WTBR.
Read my lips.
Are you listening to me? What do you want to do with your life?
I want to rock. WTBR.
Do you know where your children are when they're surfing the web? The internet's a great place for kids to learn and have fun, but with unwanted X-rated spam emails, pornographic websites, and internet-initiated abductions, there's a dark side. In today's high-tech world, parents need to be net savvy. You can start with the National Research Council's new website, Net Safe Kids. Author and technology expert Robin Raskin.
NetSafeKids.org is a great starting point for information on how to keep kids safe on the Internet. The information comes from experts, and the recommendations are backed by solid science-based research. The site answers important questions like how do pornography and predators reach kids, and how can I protect my child?
What about legal issues?
You'll find a good discussion of First Amendment issues surrounding Internet pornography on the site, but you'll also find practical advice for parents, like how they can create Internet usage agreements with their children.
Surveys show that 1 in 4 kids will see sexually explicit Internet pictures, so now is the time to visit netsafekids.org. That's all one word, netsafekids.org.
Check it out, it's the Terminator. Hey, when'd you get back, huh?
Did you have to shoot anyone? Why are you so distant? Are you not happy to see me?
So what's the deal? You gonna get a job now or what?
Why are you being so jumpy? Put all that stuff behind you, okay?
No one knows what it's like to come back from Iraq or Afghanistan unless they were there. Join other veterans at communityofveterans.org because we know where you're coming from. Brought to you by Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America and the Ad Council.
They're your friends. They're your neighbors. They're even famous entertainers. They're teachers.
Okay, class, settle down. Open your books.
They're scientists and astronauts. They're hams. They're 650,000 strong and they're just like you. Earning your amateur radio license is easy. Just contact the American Radio Relay League at 1-800-326-3942.
Impressive. Most impressive.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And welcome back to Ham On WTBR FM Pittsfield.
That's kind of fitting to have Darth Vader go ahead and come out at a commercial, being that Rise of Skywalker had their world premiere. Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and we will maybe get into that, maybe. But anyway, here we have
no spoilers. You know how Disney is with their spoilers. No
we
spoilers.
have a space age record.
Space age
and
record.
Here you've heard it here first on Ham On and WTBR. We have a space age record.
Space age record.
The solar minimum is becoming very dead indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Over the weekend, the sun set a space age record for spotlessness. So far in 2019, the sun has been without sunspots for more than 270 days, including the last 33 days in a row since the space age began. No other year has had this many blank suns. The previous record holder was the year 2008 when the sun was blank for 268 days. That was during the epic solar minimum of 2008-2009, formerly the deepest of the space age. Now 2019 has moved into first place.
So almost 10, 11 years?
Solar minimum is a normal part of the 11-year sunspot cycle. The past two, 2008, 2009, and 2018 and 2019 have been long and deep, making them century-class minima. To find a year with more blank suns, you'd have to go back to 1913, which 311 spotless days.
Holy crud!
So that's yeah. So let's see. What you have? You got some local news. Why don't you do your local news?
Yeah. Sometimes we have local news. Sometimes we don't. This time we do. The dam removal project in Pittsfield is underway. The dam that I'm talking about is about a century-year-old. It is 20 feet high by 40 feet wide. It will take $3.8 million to remove it, and it is nearly 14 years in the making for them to remove it, but necessary due to the environmental impact and the risk of flooding. So they're finally getting the old dam removed. I wonder how they're going to. I don't think they would get that started in the winter.
I don't know though. They'll probably start it in the spring. We're waiting, hopefully, for our guest to call.
Hopefully, if we thaw out.
We're waiting for. We're hopefully waiting for our guest to call. But in the meantime,
hopefully.
We're stalling.
Stalling.
Oh, here.
Isn't it fabulous? Let me see. Oh, some important events this day in history. In 1966, hey, the year my mom and dad was born. Wonderful. In the U.S., How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the popular Dr. Seuss book How the Grinch Stole Christmas, is made into an animated television show, and it's shown for the first time on CBS. Narrator is the well-known horror movie star Boris Karloff. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is one of those programs that when you see it on television, you just know Christmas is not far away. Yes, indeed. And of course, you go ahead and see the Grinch and Max, and every time they got to steal Christmas, but thanks to little Cindy Lou Who, who's no more than 2, it just doesn't happen.
The Grinch Stole Christmas.
There is more.
When did that debut?
1966, the same year you were born.
There it is. I was waiting for it. There it is, under the bus.
Oh, of course. Hey, it aired before you and Mom were born. Oh, wow. That's funny. 1944, U.S. Executive Order 9066.
Right.
In 1944, the U.S. Supreme Court unholds Executive Order 9066, the relocation of Japanese Americans. Approximately 120,000 Japanese Americans were affected by this ruling and were sent to war relocation centers in remote areas of the U.S. That's just one part of history you don't want to go ahead and remember, but that happens. 1969, South Korea. Withdrawal of 50,000 U.S. soldiers by U.S. Kang Sang-wook, a presidential spokesperson for South Korea, said that he had been consulted through diplomatic channels regarding President Nixon's withdrawal of 50,000 additional troops from Vietnam. Korea had a significant number of troops in Vietnam. Oh, wow. I did not know that. The more you know. 1978 USA Cleveland bankruptcy. Holy crap, I didn't even know they went bankrupt. Cleveland was the first U.S. city to face bankruptcy since the Depression in the 1930s. Half of the city's 10,000 employees were laid off, and cuts were made among the firemen and policemen. Oh my goodness, that's some crazy stuff. December 1984. Hey, me. Well, I was about 2 months old. Not even. USA Chevy Nova. The first Chevy Nova was introduced as a joint venture between Toyota and General Motors. The original Chevy Nova was built in 1962 and to 1979. So that's when they came out with the Nova. Interesting.
Okay, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now we have our guest, section manager for Western Massachusetts, and I don't want to hack his name, I hope, Ray Lajoie. Kilo Bravo 1 LRL, Lima Radio Lima. Ray, welcome to WTBR FM.
Well, hello. You were actually pretty close. The last name is Lajoie.
Ah, okay, LaJoy. See, this is why we don't talk. we only talked in email. I'm glad to have you here. Ray.
How are you, sir?
Ray is, like I said, he's the section manager for Western Massachusetts. He's also my boss as assistant section traffic manager for Western Massachusetts. So, Ray, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born in 1959. Of course, I stopped at age 39. And just completed 21 years at Comcast, and right now I'm learning to drive a tractor-trailer.
Oh, wow.
I decided on a midlife crisis. You want to call it that. Yeah, I guess it's a good thing that we're doing the interview, considering the weather that we had. That ride out there would have been a murder.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm glad that we were able to connect this way. Yeah, I mean, I'm the ARRL section manager for the area, and got licensed for my ham radio in 2004, and I had a very lifelong interest in radio, but never really acted on it until that time, and I decided to do some studying and took my test at a flea market called Horse Traders in Hopkinton, New Hampshire, and I successfully passed that on my first go-round, so
amazing.
It's been a great adventure since then.
So I asked this question last week when we had K1UAF John here. How did you get involved in becoming section manager?
I think that was a moment of insanity. The real purpose for me going to section manager was twofold. I was the president for 10 years of my local club, the Massachusetts Amateur Radio Association, and I decided to step aside. But I've also discovered that the current section manager, Ed Emco, WK1T, he has been very silent for a number of years, And I finally connected with him, and he said that he was not running again. So at that point, I kind of pondered myself, and I decided that I wanted to make an impact for Western Massachusetts and provide better representation to the league and to my members, and step ahead and become section manager, which out here is pretty easy. You know, you win on a landslide because nobody else steps up to do it.
That's always the best way to win. Yeah, you see, my midlife crisis is doing this here on Community Radio on WTBR FM. So Ray, what is all the responsibilities? Because we've got plenty of time. What is all the responsibilities of a section manager?
Well, there is a great many facets to that, but primarily the main job is to be the liaison between the membership of Western Massachusetts and the ARRL, and to provide contacts, resources, answers. If anybody has any questions, complaints, or anything like that, it's not unheard of that I would get emails from members out this way about noise issues or interference issues, and they want to know what I could do about it in certain degrees, and I would determine what's necessary, channel the information to whoever I can to get the answers that they're looking for, and to give that follow-up. The other thing that I do is also provide, I lost my train of thought there a moment. That's that senility thing. But yeah, I provide information to the members, and also to promote amateur radio. That's what I was getting at. To promote amateur radio to the Western Mass section, help clubs grow, and provide them with tools and resources in order to help them to grow. And, to look to find ways to make this happen amongst the league, myself, the clubs, and the general public. So, again, there's quite a bit to it, but that's generally the meat and potatoes of my responsibilities.
To become a section manager, do you have to get approval from the league and then elected by your other HAM members, or is it done by the league itself?
This is done as an election. This is a 2-year term, and what you have to do is, number one, you have to become, a league member in order to start that process. I believe it is a technician class or better, but ideally you want to be the top level license, so that it gives you a broader range of information to provide.
Oh, nice.
And you have to take and get nominated, which is typically just 5 signatures from hams in the area. And once you've done that, you submit that paperwork, and if somebody else does the same thing, then it's called to an election, and ballots are mailed out, and they make their selection. And, of course, in my case, I was the only one that put in my nomination, so it was, we'll say, default. And yeah, that's basically it. It's very simple, and
wow.
And then once you are elected, then you are invited to go to the league for a couple of days and go through 2 days of orientation, so that you get the inner workings of the league and the general policies, procedures, some legal stuff that you have to know, and then basically, yeah, they cut the cord and say, "Here you go, have fun."
So they take off your training wheels and go ahead and tell you have at it, huh?
Pretty much. They don't take them off; they kick them off.
So I know the big thing here that you're trying to do is rebuild Aries. And how is that coming along, and what do you still need, and what are you still looking for? Because this is broadcasting to most of Berkshire County, so and we might, I know we have a few hams that are kind of sitting on the fence listening. So, what do you need in Aries to help you rebuild? What do you need to fill, and how's that going?
Well, it's going a lot better than it did last year. And as a result, I have now a section emergency coordinator that works under me directly, and he's right now developing a plan to develop a formal ARES program within our area. Berkshire County, that's kind of one of our painful areas as a result that there isn't really a lot of participation out there, and I would really love to see some people step up and volunteer for certain things out in Berkshire County. I do know that there is some changes coming up, and myself and Bob are trying to get some more visibility, some more staffing out there, as well as other counties too. I do need some Franklin County, I need Hampden, I need Hampshire County, and Worcester County. So basically all my counties, I do need some assistance. And it's really not a huge deal. The only thing that we do require is that they complete some type of formal ARES training, whether it's through the FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management, which is under ready.gov. There is what's called the ICS courses, and there's a few of them there that we do like to have people complete as a minimum. And also the ARRL has their own course, which is the emergency course that actually got just reintroduced, and that's what we're looking for to at least qualify for one of these positions. So, anybody that's interested, they could certainly contact myself or Bob, Kilo 1 Yankee Oscar, and we'd certainly like to point them in the right direction and provide them with additional information, if they wish to volunteer.
So are there any plans put in place to maybe get the SET back running up or getting some field days going? Because I know the No Bark club has decided not to do their field days anymore. But any of the important things that you're trying to work on, like the SET?
Well, the SET, we actually ran something in November, which was kind of a small one, and that actually went over pretty good. Bob, K1YO, had put together some nets that we trying to make contacts with to see where our weaknesses is in communication. And once we've got that, hopefully we can figure out where our weaknesses are as far as people, as far as communications, capabilities, and all that. And so, yes, definitely my plan is that once we get a few more people in place, our intent is, number one, section emergency trainings, field trainings, as well as some other trainings going on to get a consistency throughout the entire section as to what to look for, what we need, what we have to do, and all that. Field day, that's kind of a problem right there. I was quite disappointed that NOBARC has ceased to do their field days, but that's not restricting anybody from doing their own. Many people do field days from their homes. Some of them go to a campsite and set up operation there. You could even get a group together on anybody's call sign and go somewhere and set up a field day. So you don't have to be in a club. Just participate and then just put in the information to the league to get credit for what's there. So, and let me know, because I'd love to go out there and check them out.
Yeah, you can. I'll probably run field day in June under my club call, which I moved here from New York. So we'll see what goes on with that. Last week we
did it one year. We got like 210.
Yeah, we worked a lot. Last week we kind of touched on the cell phone ban, and I know you and I think the Eastern Mass section manager had a lot to do with getting the amendment put into place about the amateur radio operators being able to still be on their radios. I kind of touched on it last week. I'm glad you're here because maybe you can bring us up to speed with all of that.
Sure. What that was that it wasn't so much putting in the amendment, but it was to ensure that the bill had the correct wording and the correct exclusions to make sure that we were exempt from the,
Live radio, folks.
Yeah, no kidding. When the bill first came out, there was a concern that they were going to include amateur radio. This particular instance that we just went through, what they did is they had an executive committee, House and Senate, and they got together and they just put together a reworded bill, and it went directly to the governor's desk. And that kind of drew a thing there, because what they did, it's very subtle, but legally it could have a bearing as to what it's interpreted as. They took the word mobile telephone and changed it to mobile electronic device. So in doing that, our concern was that going to take and remove that exclusion because of that word? Because you can actually take anything that's electronic, even your the on-screen dashboards that these modern cars have, and that can be considered a mobile electronic device. So there is an exclusion. It's kind of a general exclusion. It's Chapter 13, where it says that anybody that's federally licensed is exempt from these rules. And that was the big concern, was that we wanted to make sure that our bill and that exclusion is together and that it will be honored, so that we don't have to face any problems with the law enforcement of giving us a ticket because we've got a microphone in our hands. The response from the amateur radio community was huge, because the leader of that committee actually contacted the Eastern Mass section manager and said, "Jeepus crow, we're getting all kinds of calls, and we want to assure you that that exclusion is in place. Do not worry, you're all set." So that's what we wanted to make sure. We wanted to make sure that we were covered because of the change of the wording, which thankfully it was quite successful. And thanks to everybody out there that responded to their local governing bodies out there.
Yeah, and I put over because Donald James was here a couple weeks ago in 2VU, and he actually has a copy of the law in all his vehicles, and I mentioned the fact that you get the wallet-sized copy of your license, which you should laminate and keep with you. Is that kind of a good idea for the amateur radio operators to have a copy of the law with them? Because I could tell you a real quick story. It's somebody in New York, actually, even though the law was there, they actually got pulled over and ticketed because they didn't have any proof that they were federally licensed.
Yeah, that is definitely a good recommendation, because even though there is a law, and depending on how it's brought across to the public safety officials, the police departments and state police, what's to say that they don't interpret it in another way, which could cause us some discomfort? So definitely a copy of the bill and a copy of your FCC license is definitely good ammunition. Obviously, if he pursues the matter and still gives you the ticket, then definitely, you want to bring all that, to your court, and that way they'll probably just take and wipe it right out. But we want to make sure that nobody really gets inconvenienced because of that. So hopefully that the committee has relayed the proper information so that this doesn't happen. Definitely have the license and the bill handy.
I know it doesn't come out till February of 2020, but is there somewhere where they can, download a copy of the bill and and have a hard copy on them?
I haven't looked myself, but I would say if you look at mass.gov or even do a Google search for Massachusetts bill, whatever the number is, I don't have the number in front of me, I'm sure that may pull that up and get the proper wording on it.
Okay. The big question is here, and I ask this of almost every guest I have. In fact, I even asked this when Marcia was here, KW1U. Besides me doing this radio show every week, what is it going to take to get more people involved back into amateur radio? Because I know kind of on paper we're doing well, but I've seen that the ranks are kind of slowing down.
It is slowing down in certain respects. Now, New England has always been a challenge. New England is technology rich. Everybody over the age of 2 seems to have a cell phone now, and that's their primary communication, and they feel as though they don't need anything else. So New England has been a tough sell. You've got states out there that are actually booming with activity as far as new radio licenses, but yes, Massachusetts is definitely a struggle. The one thing that we definitely need to do is, and this is what I've been working on, is increasing visibility on my part to let them know that, hey, we're still interested in all that. The other beautiful trend is that with a couple of programs that I'm going to be launching in January, also there's a beautiful article in January's QST for anybody that's interested in clubs and what to do to develop new amateurs and keep them. That would be a good one. The Nashua, New Hampshire Radio Club has been doing a stellar effort in working it to the point where they actually got honored at the Dayton Hamvention for their efforts. They got over 100 members in their club, and nobody in New England can even touch that. And so the league and myself and other things are really now getting laser focused on outreach and getting new amateurs in place. And like I said, New England is a tough sell, and just to find that one thing that makes a person go for it, it's really, you really can't answer that fully. But exposure, promotion, that's the key right there.
Which is what I hope this radio show does every week. Do you think that the VM, what's the word I'm looking for? The VM thing is going back together, and Riley's and putting all that back together. You think that will have an impact on trying to get more people back into, or at least the ones that said, you know what, we've had enough because no one's taking care of the airwaves, even though we're supposed to be self-policing. Do you think with the relaunch of the volunteer mentor program that will have some kind of impact on bringing people back into the fold?
Well, the volunteer mentor program, are you talking about the new official observer program, or the volunteer mentor program that I'm actually launching in January?
Well, first the volunteer mentor program, the official observer thing that Riley Hollingsworth doing down at the league.
All right. Yeah, I'm actually coming up with a mentoring program for Western Mass. That's why I wanted to clarify it. And again, I'm finishing it up, and I'm launching that in January. But yeah, Riley is definitely spearheading this, and I think that isn't so much going to promote amateur radio, but it is going to let people know that, hey, we're watching out for you now. Riley has actually got it set up so that now this program is actually going to be a trained program. There is going to be a term for how long you're going to be there. You could reapply for it again if you want to, but it's definitely going to be a much more formal and rigid structure, so that way there, the information to the bodies will be heard, which was the big problem in the past, because it really wasn't going anywhere based on that. So now the league is now taking on that, we'll say, message handling. So observers, reports of the league will report to FCC. And I think that that's going to be a much better program, and hopefully will resolve some of the, we'll say, lingering issues that some areas have been experiencing.
All right, we're going to go to commercial, and then when we come back, we'll talk to you about your VM program that you're going to be starting in January, and any other little programs that you want to put out there that we're going to do here in Western Mass. So we will be back right after the commercial break.
You're listening to Ham on WTBR.
The two Utes. Two what?
What?
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
WTBR.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. It's kind of like an elephant is on my chest. I feel like I'm choking. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
I thought indoor tanning was safe. Right. They say their tanning rays were less likely to cause a sunburn.
What you need to know is that they can be worse. They can cause deeper skin damage because the lamps can emit more ultraviolet radiation than the sun.
Up to 15 times more.
15 times? Hello? Not only can UV rays cause skin cancer, but they can cause ugly, wrinkly skin and age spots. So instead of making you look cool, they can make you look like old. And FYI, every year there are more than 1 million new cases of skin cancer,
including melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer.
And the second most common cancer for women in their 20s. Yes, in their 20s. And treatment for
skin cancer can be surgery and sometimes even
chemotherapy and radiation.
But still, more than 10,000 people will die from skin cancer each year. You don't want to be one of them. Don't be in the dark. Indoor tanning is out.
Be safe. Don't go there. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology. For more information, visit aad.org.
I wasn't going to school because I was just making money stealing cars. Well, I was 10 when I first got involved with drugs. I skipped school because, nobody cared.
When I first got pregnant, school was not important to me, so I dropped out.
I just thought the only way I can make something out of my life is that if I get an education.
I still need to go to school to make it for myself.
Stay in school. Give yourself a chance.
I think I'm happier now. I know I'm happier now.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
WTBR.
Why don't you do the world a favor and pull your lip over your head and swallow?
America's quiet warriors are the Legion of Ham Radio Operators, 700,000 of them, who are always at ready for backup duty in emergencies. Amateur, unpaid, uncelebrated civilian radio operators during and after floods and fires and tornadoes. After the 911 attacks, hams were indispensable in reuniting families. Most recently, it was they who expedited the search for debris after the disaster to the Space Shuttle Columbia. And right now, at this moment, they are involved in homeland security to a greater degree than you would want me to make public.
And we are back on Ham On here on WTBR FM. That was Paul Harvey telling us what us ham radio operators already know, but telling everybody what ham radio operators are. We are here with Ray Lajoie, who is the section manager for Western Massachusetts. So honored and grateful to have him on today. KB1LRL. We wanted to talk to you. You were talking about that you have some programs that you yourself are going to be launching here in the new year.
Yeah, the one of the things that when in my travels amongst the clubs and talking to the members there and finding out what's causing the high attrition rate for new hams to go from their license and on the air. And what I have discovered was a couple of things. One is that when they get their license, I find that a lot of times, and I experienced this back in September when I actually got my upgrade to Extra. You take and you go to these exam sessions, you plunk down your $15, you take your test, sweat bullets, and hope that you pass, and then you passed, then you just sign a paper and they say congratulations, and that's it. Now, even though that you've taken the time and you've studied in the books and all that, I find that most of the people that get their licenses basically go out, and I coined the phrase, get that $2.98 Baofeng Chinese radio, and they look at it, they try to figure out how to program it, and they say, what else is there? And I think that right there starts the discouragement, and they're saying, what am I wasting my time for? If we took and we were able to have information, resources, something that would be more welcoming to somebody that just gets their license instead of just a handshake, I think that will help cement a relationship between that person and amateur radio. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm trying to take and develop some readily available resources. And the one thing that we've just put together, myself, Bob, K1YO, and a couple of other people, is we've got ourselves a 28-page brochure that the plan is it's going to be available. I'm going to have it on the Western Mass website once we get it launched. But what that does is it provides individuals, groups, and clubs to actually go to that, download it, and they can customize it to their own area or club. So what they do is they put in their localized information, repeaters, club contacts, but more important is also to let the new hams know there is technical resources available. And the one thing that was very surprising was that there wasn't too many people out there that actually knew that the section has technical specialists. So we have a technical coordinator. His name is Greg, WA1JXR, and Bob is one of them, and we have a couple of others that are out there. And their job with the section is that if an individual or a club tech specialist has a question or an issue or something, they can channel that information or question to one of us to get an answer. And if we can't get the answer, then we funnel that out to the league to get those answers. And whether it's, operating, FCC regulations, antennas, noise, all that stuff. And, yeah, one guy went up and they said, do you know that we have tech specialists? And they said, no. So that struck a nerve to me. So the first thing that we did is we've got the tech specialists to say, hey, we're here. So I had them go out, visit clubs, and let them know that they are there. And in January, this program is being launched under the encouragement of our division director, Fred Hoppengarten, and he wants to take and hopefully get this launched throughout the division. So the entire New England division will have access to this. And I think that this would be a very complimentary tool to use, considering that now the ARRL is now introducing a new magazine in January geared towards new hams, and also the league itself, as well as other places like Dayton, who are trying to gear their programs towards new hams. So providing people with the resources, I think would be huge, because now you can give something to somebody, and now they're going to think, hey, these guys mean something. That, there's some value coming out of this. So it's not that, thank you very much, come back, have a nice day. We're giving them something to get their feet cemented in, to go in that journey of, getting on the air, getting on HF, that a lot of technicians don't know about. Even though 10 meters has been kind of dead, there's still some stuff out there, and they should be, working towards that and then advancing themselves up further. So my goal is to introduce this aspect and hopefully increase our numbers.
And I would like to say right here live on the air that if me and this show can do anything to help you along with that, I will be more than happy to allow you to use the resources of my show and WTBR to help out with that project of yours.
Oh, of course.
I appreciate that. Hopefully in the summertime I could actually make a live appearance and maybe show you some things.
Yeah, that'd be great because we are simulcast on PCTV, and then I'm uploaded up on the YouTube channel, and now with all the podcasts. So yeah, it'd be nice to actually have you in studio live. We'd actually be meeting face to face for the first time since I got here.
Yeah, it's a little challenging out that way. I do make it on field day because I actually plan on getting out there, and actually Nobark was my first stop, which unfortunately was a ghost town when I arrived. But yeah, I do make a conscientious effort to get out there and visit all the clubs and field days going on as a group. And the last couple of years, I've been successful. I've been hitting them all.
We got like 4 minutes left. So any final thoughts, anything that you like to put out real quick in 30 seconds?
Well, you aren't going to get rid of me anytime soon because I was reelected for another 2 years,
awesome.
Which is good because, for the next 2 years, I'm just going to take what I have and I'm just going to build on this, and hopefully we're going to be a much stronger Western Mass section, after the 2 years is up.
And there's a last thing here. Is there any websites that you'd like to give out and let hams check up on?
Yep, they can check out our website. Obviously, the ARRL.org website is the big one right there. But the Western Mass section has their own, which is WMA.ARRL.org. And you'll see my monthly musings, or what I call my reports, and other information, events. Anybody from Berkshire County or anywhere, if they have an event, they could certainly send it in, and we'll post it on this website so everybody can see. And more information. It's quite full.
All right, Ray, thank you so much for being here. It took a while to get you on here. We had to kind of coordinate different things. But thanks for being here. You were a wonderful guest, and we got a lot of information out. So anybody looking to join Aries, you can go talk to Ray if he wants to put his email address out real quick.
Yep, it's KB1LRL@ARRL.org.
Okay, Ray Lajoie, section manager for Western Massachusetts. It's been a pleasure having you on, sir, and hopefully we'll have you on a few more times as you implement your program in January. If you want to pop on and give us a live report or whatever you want to tell us about what's going on with the program, we'll be more than happy to get you on the air.
Sure, very happy, and I'm glad I was able to come on there and provide that information. And everybody out there, have yourselves a great holiday season.
All right, thank you, Ray. That was Ray Lajoie, section manager for Western Massachusetts. And we have about 2 minutes, so let's do the question here, which is, which one was it? Oh, which famous radio operator was also the voice-over narrator of the old Untouchable TV series?
I can honestly say I have no idea.
Well, you wouldn't. This is way before your time.
Oh, yeah.
It was Walter Winchell. Winchell opened his radio broadcast by pressing randomly on a telegraph key, a sound which created a sense of urgency and importance, and the catchphrase, "Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North and South America, and all the ships at sea, let's go to press." He would then read each of the stories with a staccato delivery at the average rate of 197 words per minute, noticeably faster than any of the typical pace of the American speech. So for Jesse, for me and Jesse and Susie couldn't make it here because of the weather. This is Ham on WTBR FM.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.